there everybody, and welcome back to Game Highs. I'm your host John 2.0, here to deliver top-notch gaming content ranging from retro to up-and-coming and indie to AAA. So let's get it. Final Fantasy VI. That shit just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This game was my very second RPG that I was able to get my hands on as a kid, the first being Super Mario RPG. And seeing that old school SquareSoft logo, well, that shit just hit different back in the 90s. I was fortunate enough to have this game on my Super Nintendo as a child, but was too young to be able to grasp the entirety of the game. The majestic storyline flew over my head, a lot of hidden items and relics were never even found or sought after, and finally the combat mechanics, although simple at first, became a tug of war between Espers over who gets what stats when you level up. And some stats didn't even work at all. This game became a crucial stepping stone on the massive learning curve it takes to play an RPG of this level as a 7-year-old back in the late 90s. With no online resources, strategy guides, hell, I don't even think I remember another kid who had a copy of Final Fantasy VI for Super Nintendo when I was that young. Everything about the game was a mystery. I had no idea what to expect. Anything could happen on that pixelated screen. It had magic, monsters, robots, ninjas. This game had it all. I was completely absorbed into this world and the lore, the characters, their abilities, the chocobos, the queh, the moogles, the koopo, but I never got to truly 100% this game, and/or I made errors on my adventures as a child that I cannot and will not let happen again. I swear I'm gonna save you this time, Shadow. The Pixel Remaster is here, and we're going balls deep into that good. I'll be commenting over my gameplay with neat tips and tricks to help us get the most out of our experience as possible. Oh, and we will not be killing off party members to min-max stats here. 255 is nice and all, but with 128 being a soft cap, by the way, I work for a living, you geriatrics. Oh, and spoilers ahead, I guess, because this game is fucking 25 years old. So yeah, let's get it. Oh, hell yeah. Look at those remastered pixels. Look at that one. Right there. Hell yeah, I'm leaving a phenomenal review. 10 out of 10 would remaster again. Enough with the jokes though, the classic soundtrack here really does hit those nostalgic vibes. With nothing else to do here but follow the linear path, our mystery lady encounters the Esper Biggs and Wedge mentioned before, and sadly sends both of these poor bastards to the Shadow Realm. Our mystery lady wakes up and we have our main protagonist, Terra. She tries to outrun her pursuers and ends up back in the mines from before. As a side note, we'll encounter some treasure chests here, but I recommend leaving them till later in the game as the contents will be better. But you can do as you please. Once we hit our first save point, we save the game and I take off her starting equipment. This is one of the many strategies we will be running in this playthrough. Equipment swapping. There will be times when you will be forced to play from a different party member's perspective, and not having your fellow party members can suck. But that doesn't mean you can't have their equipment. We also will not be grinding for XP until we've received some Espers to get us stat boosts when we level up. We'll kill things along the way, but majorly try not to grind for experience. So having all the best gear to fight the necessary encounters will be crucial to success. All of this will be discussed later in detail when the time comes, so fret not. After unequipping Terra, we proceed north where the floor caves in on her and she falls unconscious. Enter Locke, the thief, or self-proclaimed treasure hunter, whatever helps you sleep at night, bro. Locke shows up to save the unconscious Terra, but he is swiftly outnumbered. We get to the first mini party management battles available in the game, and believe it or not, there's a strategy to be had here. Considering there are 3 parties, I chose one party to be designated to fight the mini-boss. And seeing as I don't want to farm for XP on Locke, and the fact the boss has an item worth stealing, I'd recommend leaving Locke's party out of all other combat to be full health for that encounter. Another thing you'll want to do is figure out which Mogs have long-range weapons and stick them in the back row. This will ensure they still deal out maximum damage while mitigating damage in return. Now pick Mog's party first. Win the first fight to learn Twilight Requiem, a Moogle dance skill for Mog. Aim to kill any Megalodoths you encounter first, as their snowstorm attack does hefty AoE damage. Once one of your Moogle parties are low on health, swap to the other and continue to advance the enemy. Choose your fights before they choose you. Finally, when both Moogle parties are nearly exhausted and only the leader remains, swap over to Mog and we do some more equipment swapping. Take off his Mithril Spear and Mithril Shield. Swap over to Locke and give him Terra's Mithril Knife and Mog's Mithril Shield. Save the spear for an upcoming member of the party later. Once Locke is set for combat, engage the enemy leader by speaking to them. Once the fight starts, we are going to aim to steal the Mithril Knife from the boss. Use your Moogles to take out the Hound Dogs in your way. Once the knife is in our possession, we finish the leader and bring Terra to safety. By the way, I love the blank anime girl stare she gives him while he strikes a cool guy pose. Classic Final Fantasy stuff right here. Now we gotta make our way to Figaro Castle. On the world map, we hit the equipment screen and put on the newly acquired Mithril Knife stolen from the last boss onto Terra. During combat, Locke should be stealing. Only when there is nothing left to steal, or the RNG is so bad that I lose patience, will we be using any attacks on Locke. Terra should rely on basic attacks for now, and use healing when need be. In Figaro Castle, we meet King Edgar, our newest party member. Being the ladies' man that he is, hits on Terra, but inadvertently gets shot down. Poor guy. We also get to name a future party member here, Edgar's twin brother, Sabin the Monk. Before speaking to Edgar to advance the plot, we find the shops located in the castle and purchase the Bioblaster and Noise Blaster tools respectively. And now, I bring to you the sickest, most sadistic son of a bitch we all love to hate. Kefka. That laugh, though. The moment we have control of Edgar, before speaking to Kefka, we open up the equipment screen and put on the Mithril Spear we took off of Mog. So after Kefka fails to get Edgar to give up Terra, an attack is set on Figaro Castle, but our heroes make a hasty getaway on some drive-by chocobos. Using magic in front of Edgar will reveal a funny cutscene between the party during combat. A little side note here, Edgar is a broken party member this early in the game. His tools allow him to hit all enemies at once with no cost restrictions, and the other tools we purchase add either poison or confusion to all enemies as well. Combine that with the Mithril Spear we gave him, and Edgar can single-handedly destroy every enemy and all enemies until we find Sabin. We'll have Terra basic attacking and healing when necessary, and Locke will continue to only steal. Speaking of stealing, I attempt to get my hands on a Mithril Claw from one of these enemies right outside of South Figaro. We'll have a use for it in just a moment. Meanwhile in South Figaro, the first thing we see when we enter is a character dressed like a ninja in all black, headed towards the pub. Speaking to him prompts a short cutscene where Edgar warns Locke of this particular individual as Shadow the Assassin. By the way, the dog eats strangers. After we name Shadow, we do some of Locke's favorite pastime. treasure hunting. We're looking for a few specific relics here. The important ones we want are the Hyper Wrist and the Hermes Sandal found in the prison cells downstairs, where the man writing a letter can be found. Exit top left of the screen where the man is located and continue down to the cells to find your equipment. Optionally, we can do some sequence breaking. You can enter another area underground meant for a little later in the game containing one earring, an iron armor, a greatsword, a heavy shield, and a ribbon. The ribbon is stupid broken to have this early in any Final Fantasy. I put it on Terra ASAP along with one earring to boost her magic attack. Since Locke is already the fastest party member, and we solely use him for endless steals, I put the Hermes Sandal on him to give him permanent haste. Now he can attempt twice as many steals in the same time frame. Give the Hyper Wrist to Edgar for him to hit basic attacks dealing over 100 damage before reaching level 10. Savage. Okay, time to move on. When we get into Mount Colts, we find a new weapon for Locke, the main Gouche. By the way, as a kid I pronounced this the main Gooch. The Gooch. We slap that on him and we make him more viable in combat and make our way through the mountain. We stumble across one of these brawler type enemies and we steal a bandana from them. Trying to steal a second one tried my patience, so I settled for just the one. Eventually we make it to Vargas, the next boss here. Enter Sabin, the monk. Now as a side note, I really love what they've done to the Blitz command. It now has button input so you don't have to memorize all the moves on the fly, and failed Blitz are pretty much a thing of the past now, so Sabin has no more weaknesses anymore. Sick. After the fight, we put on a mithril claw and a buckler for Sabin, as well as the newly stolen bandana. I also decide to swap around some relics because Sabin hits like a Mack truck with the right setup. On to the Returner's hideout. Now here is one of the many mistakes that I made as a child. I accepted Banon's request to help the Returners immediately. This did not net me the Genji gloves. Who the hell denied Banon 3 times in a row on their first playthrough anyway? If you say you did, you're fucking lying because I just don't believe you. Anyways, we grab the secret white cape from the chest room on the right, then we proceed to deny Banon 3 times until the cutscene. One of the guards hands us the mighty Genji gloves and Locke leaves the party. Replaced by Banon, we have a temporary healer. We sadly can't change Banon's gear or I'd have stripped him completely naked. Move down to the raft and hop on to start a linear ride to the boss, Ultros. One of my favorite reoccurring Final Fantasy bosses. This fight can be kinda tough, especially if you are under-leveled waiting to farm XP for when you have Espers. Our main objective is to keep Banon alive. If not, it's game over. The strategy here is as follows. Edgar should be auto-crossbowing. Terra should be casting fire. Sabin should be using Blitz. Preferably Aurabolt over Pummel. Suplex doesn't seem to affect Ultros, so don't even waste your time. Banon should be praying every turn, even at full health. If Ultros uses his AoE tentacle, it can leave your entire party with red health, so staying frosty, we manage to prevail. Now this, although funny, I'll just never really understand. Sabin decides to go 00 agent and finish Ultros under the water with a Blitz. Edgar pleads for him not to go. He does so anyway and ends up not being able to come aboard back onto the raft, sending him washing away amidst the rapids. Now, if common sense were to tell me anything, SquareSoft knew at the time your party was too stacked that early in the game to have that type of setup. You had a caster, an endless no-cost party healer, a status inflictor with AoE attacks, and a pure damage dealer meant for single-target heavy damage. That party was the early game dream team right there, even if Banon is kind of useless. Now, with the party split into 3, our choices are made between 3 different scenarios. I'll end today's episode on a cliffhanger. Not really a cliffhanger because y'all should know what happens, but which scenario will I complete first? And more importantly, will I repeat any mistakes I made as a child? And that'll do it for us over here at Game Highs. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to look forward to more gaming content, news, and gameplay. Hit that like and subscribe button if you get a chance. My name is John 2.0, and I will catch you guys on the next episode of Taking on Final Fantasy VI, Pixel Remastered.